All right, we'll call to order the regular meeting of Tonganoxie USD 464 Board of Education for Monday, November 10th, 2025. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we've got one slight change to the agenda. We're going to move flip-flop presentation 1.4 and 1.5. Other than that, the agenda is as presented. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I move that we approve the agenda.
Is there a second?
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right. Presentation 1.4, school improvement updates. Ms. Taylor.
It takes just a little bit. That's it?
That's legit.
My guy's here.
We
I haven't
even
checked
practiced
on it.
this. Yeah. Do you want to just? Here we go. This is what we get for practicing, right? We'd have to go back and start it over.
Okay, forget this.
Thanks.
I would like to make a note that I did write all my speaker notes in my slides. I cannot see them, so I will just use my actual notes. Okay, hi everyone. I'd say welcome back, but it's me again. Hello. I have displayed for you something that was already shown to us previous, but it is just our goals, and it is to remind us that we have said we are looking to decrease our level ones by 5% in both ELA and math at all three buildings, according to our CAP assessment results. And then we wanted to also increase our level 3s and 4s as shown by our CAP assessment in our data. But we shared that as a goal last year. That was our goal. And then this year we are reflecting on it. So I will share those results, which we didn't have the last time that I presented to you. So I wanted to share that. On a little side note, I was just quickly asked about why our level 2 scores were not in our data. And one of the reasons for that is because that was not included in our goals. What's interesting though is KSDE, it seems to be, is going to be doing that exact same thing on the KISA. They are also going to be looking at a decrease in level 1s and an increase in level 3s and 4s. And that will come in year probably 3 of the KISA program that we're on right now. So we are already just way ahead of the game. The fact that that was our goal last year, the fact that we're already looking at that goal again this year, the fact that that will continue to be our goal next year, that we are always cognizant and aware of the fact that our level 1s are a goal area that we are looking to decrease. That would be through tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3, with tier 2 and tier 3 being interventions. And then also that we are just gonna continue to plug away at that for the foreseeable future with all the things that we do. This is a little update just on things that I shared that we had already been doing in professional development or things that we had planned, and then here is kind of what we have going on. We have started our BIST, our teaching learning intentions has already gone off at the elementary school. We have our engagement needs assessment, and then our FastBridge support is still in full swing. Our secondary PD is going to actually kick off tomorrow with our opportunities to respond. Gradual release was already talked about with our direct instruction that we had in September. And then integrating background knowledge will actually be our next session that we get from Greenbush following this November session. Our secondary of science will pick up again, a secondary science of reading strategies will pick up again in January, and that'll be the last leg of that. So all of our secondary professional development, that's all plugged into our Tangi framework, all plugged into our walkthrough tool, is already going well, and it's already planned out and continue to be. Our Tangi target for visible learning is out in all classrooms. You can see that in every elementary classroom, every middle school classroom, every high school classroom. Students know what that Tangi target means. They know that that's where they can look to see what they're doing, what their goal is for the day. We still have that focus on structured literacy at the K through 12 level. We are not just somebody who's going to try to trickle that off at the 5th grade level. We are continuing to support that with our secondary science of reading initiative. And then that walkthrough tool that I just mentioned, we are looking at those results. This will be our second round in our admin PLC, where our principals are going out into classrooms and kind of taking a look at how those processes and things that are going on in the classrooms are impacting our KISA goals, just as well as our good instruction. Our instructional coaches are continuing to support with co-teaching, data analysis, lesson co-planning. So one of my coaches is currently doing 15 co-planning lessons and co-teaching lessons with their grade levels. They are very excited about that. It's a lot of work for them. It's a big, heavy lift, but it's something that they're excited to do, and it shows teachers that, you know, we are still walking beside you as the instructional coaching department. Those mini PD sessions are all cyclical, so that they are supporting our professional development that they receive in our big venue, and then in our PLC times they're able to go in and kind of reinforce those same ideas. So everything is very connected right now, so it should feel like that within the classrooms.
So I know you walked through these. Is it accurate to say that these are either complete or in flight? Are there any of these that you feel like are at risk?
I don't think that any of these are at risk. I think that all of these are either complete or in the process of. Yep.
Okay.
That's really, this is really cool. There we go. My focus, I'm continuing to support with our professional learning communities. Our vertical PLC is actually going to meet tomorrow. So that means that teachers from K through 12 are going to be meeting in a single room, and they are really going to talk about the focus for that area. They determined that goal area. They determined what their measures are going to be, and so they're going to come back in and start that conversation again. What did you see? What did you find? How can we continue to build on this? I'm just continuing to have that conversation of what do you need from me, people below me? What do you need from me, people above me? So on and so forth. Our DBQs have been going really well. Our 4th grade has really been diving in already. 5th grade is prepped and ready, so those are ready to go. Screen time, we are still taking a look at that. Really, we're talking to teachers. You know, when you ask for an app or something, we look at the cost, but more importantly, we're looking at how can that fit into your schedule with the limited minutes that you have, and does it have any evidence to support that? We will continue to do that just as we continue to look at screen time. And we're continuing to look at engagement within the classroom. We have a new adoption schedule to sort of take this weight off of our elementary teachers. The back-to-back adoptions of ELA, then math, then science have been a very, very heavy lift for our teachers at the elementary school in addition to their letters training. We are taking that into consideration going forward when we do big adoptions like that, so that there should be a year off so that we have 2 years of implementation while we're looking at that other new adoption as opposed to back-to-back. I'm continuing to work with those high school teachers, those CTE or elective teachers. I have them in cycles right now. Continuing to work with our instructional leads. We still have the 2 new ones that are kind of getting their feet wet. Our training tomorrow for our instructional coaches is at Greenbush, so we will be off getting our professional development while our teachers are here getting their professional development. We have a tentative date that Tanya and I have been talking about for a coalition with our daycares and preschools so that we can start to have that conversation about kindergarten readiness and really getting everyone here in Tonganoxie and in this area kind of on the same page with what do we need from you, what do you guys need from us, and how can we help to get our kids ready for success here at the elementary school. And then finally, we are getting ready to post podcast episode 4 for our communication with the community and anything that we can think of that would be interesting in our Tongi Talk podcast. This is just reiterating what our instructional coaches are doing at both TES and TMS. A really big shout out to their letters that they are doing. This is a really big time investment for them. They are putting in about 10 hours every single time that they have to present one of these for planning, and that is a really heavy lift that they are doing for us, kind of free of charge, and they are helping our teachers get prepped and ready to help build those foundational skills for our students. So big shout out to our instructional coaches at TES. Does anybody have any questions about anything?
Quick question about the podcast. Are you getting any feedback from that? I know it's a new initiative, or any responses?
We haven't heard a lot. We keep asking, tell us what topics you guys want, let us know. We haven't had a lot of feedback on that. We've had a couple of shout outs for the students, but that's about it. So
I heard the first podcast was the best.
that's what I've heard too. There was a great guy on there.
Yeah.
The guest was good. Yep. Anybody?
Could you touch on BISC? It's just, how that's being implemented, the behavioral, because I'm not sure everybody, you went over that pretty quick. Could you touch base on that?
So BIST is, in terms of behavioral management in the classrooms, we have things set up for teachers that they learned about in a training over the summer, and then they are going to have monthly visits actually by a individual from Cornerstones of Care, I want to say, and they are coming into our building and actually taking questions, walking classrooms, looking at our data to see how we are doing with implementing these different strategies for helping our students to be more successful behaviorally within the classroom. So things like the safe seat, we're talking about how to best use those and keeping track of that data and things like that. So it's going really well.
I think it's really important that the feedback we receive from the elementary staff is always, we can do better on behaviors, in the classroom. It helps stymie maybe some of the instruction. And the feedback we're getting now is that this has been well received by the staff. It's going to take a while to continue to implement and get it ingrained, into the classroom. But we are getting positive feedback, and I'm pleased that we have a pretty consistent basis to work from.
Right.
So.
Yep. It's the same across the whole building, which is nice.
Yep.
So are we a BIST school then?
We are a BIST school, yep, officially.
Is that what you guys do? Okay.
I wanted to talk about our CAP data, the Kansas assessment that we take. So we are going to compare the 24-25 basically because that's where our goal came from, decreasing our level 1s and increasing our levels 3s and 4. So we have TES, and basically what you guys want to see is a V, because you would want to see dipping down from the blue to the red on the level 1s, and you would want to see it going up from our blue to the red for our levels 3 and 4. As you can see for TES, for our ELA, our level 1s actually went from a 27% to 26.6, so we did have a slight decrease, but our goal was not met there at the elementary school. Our levels 3 and 4, though, went from a 40.6 to 47%, so that was an increase of almost 7% of our kiddos in there, and I would say that was a very good meet there. Our data from our 6 through 8 for English language arts, our level 1s, we moved from 31% down to 27%. So we were at a 4% decrease, super close, not quite, but we just about met that goal. And then our levels 3s and 4s, we went from 33%, and now we're at 38% of our students in that category. Our ELA for grade 10, level 1s moved from 40% to 41%, so we did not meet that goal. We did have a slight increase. Talking with Mr. Witt today, we've already kind of talked about some of the things that we hope to see as we continue to look at ELA and things like that a little bit closer and the rigor. And then our level 3s and 4s moved from 23% to 31% at the high school, so that was a big meet. And again, I think that that's part of those conversations with our teachers and talking about what are those materials that we're putting in front of our students. This is our TES math. So
Real quick, Brandy,
yeah,
on the, so maybe look at the TES ELA grade 3 through 5.
Uh-huh.
That's obviously 3 grade levels there.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the individual grades, do they more or less mimic the same results, or are there some spikes and peaks that?
It is, they are all pretty similar from grade 3, 4, and 5.
Okay.
Would your 24 data be a different 3 grades than your 25 data? I mean, are you
That's
carrying
correct.
forward the same
That's
3
correct.
grades?
No. And that's kind of the beast of the CAP, is that even like our grade 10, we lose them for an entire year. We're not even able to capture where they're at just because of our Kansas assessment. So it's always kind of this apples to oranges. We're always kind of looking, this is our 3rd graders this year, but we're comparing them to our 3rd graders last year.
Okay.
So is there any way you could send us the data for the grades separated into the
Oh, sure.
different grade levels so
Mhm.
we can see what those are?
Sure. Mm-hmm. For TES, for math, you can see our level 1s did increase from 21% to 31% math. And talking with teachers at TES, talking with our instructional coaches at TES, we did a very big shift last year in Eureka. That is not an excuse, but we did do a new adoption with a different way of teaching math. Foundationally, we are feeling much better about it this year. We've already had 2 visits from our Eureka supporters coming in, so I hope that will continue to get better as we go through this year. But I feel like we kind of know those areas that we need to look at a little bit more, so we will hopefully be better prepared for the math with Kite Minis. And then our 3s and 4s for math, they went from 36.6 to 37.3, so we did have a little bit of an increase there. Grades 6 through 8, this is kind of that V that we are wanting to see. You can see our math CAP results for our 6 through 8. Our level 1s decreased from a 33% in 2024 to 27% in 2025. And then our 3s and 4s went from 20% to 30%. So a full 10% increase on our math CAP. At 10th grade, we went in our level 1s from a 45% to a 37%, so that was a good thing to see with that decrease in level 1s. And then our level 3s and 4s, we went from 24 to 25%, so we did have a slight increase, not much of one. Things that we're looking at there are our alignment of our kite minis and which ones we are putting into which classrooms and when we are giving those, just in terms of alignment and timing throughout the school year, just to make sure that we're not leaving any behind that we could get. Our FastBridge, this is just our baseline data, so we don't yet have a compare. We will have a compare after we test again. It is a few short weeks away because it is December. It is the first weeks of December. So we will have that data for you in January.
I have a really quick question about CAP.
Okay?
When it says level 3/4, does that mean it's 3 and 4 together?
Yes. So the percentage plus the percentage.
Okay, so it's both 3 and 4s. Okay.
Okay, so FastBridge data, just baseline data, our kindergartners for early math are coming in at 74% of them knowing things they need to know, like our our numeracy, being able to letter ID, things like that. In kindergarten and in first grade, you can see kind of the same thing. They're in a pretty good position at 63%. We are looking to get to 80%. When we are at 80%, we would know that our tier 1 is exactly where it needs to be. So we are still looking at things for tier 1 for early math for first grade, but right now we're pretty happy with where they are.
Can you remind us again what the colors are?
So the red on the bottom and then the darker red would be some risk and then high risk.
Okay.
The deeper the red or pink color. And then that purple, that is saying you are on grade level. That it is low risk is what it would be called. So A math for grade 2 is at 53%. That's something that we are looking at. Again, this is a new adoption, and we're looking at what is it that is missing in our grade 2. That's something that we want to say, okay, these are standards that we have in our grade cards, but are they reflected just as strongly in this resource that we've just adopted? So we're kind of looking at the alignment of our things there, especially at those lower grade levels. And then we are into middle school with 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade on this screen. I feel like the 6th grade came in really strong. We're at almost 70%. I think that the biggest trick will be to keep them at that 70%. You usually see that kind of fall off, but I feel like with our honors classes and with some of the supports that we have with the IXL time, in addition to some of the other pieces that we have going on with our kite minis and things like that, I feel like in our middle school, I think that we're going to see gains for our FastBridge this year because we have all those systems running well. And then here is grades 8 and 9. So grade 9 is something that we talked about today. Across the board, when we look at these kiddos, it says that we are looking to develop math skills in multiple domains. And so just taking that data and talking with our math teachers about it, they know where we're going with that. They kind of have a plan of attack. We do still have supported math classes in the freshman year, and we're talking about extending those into the sophomore year, maybe a geometry class that is also supported so that we can see gains when we talk about CAP results, because this is FastBridge, right? But CAP they will take again as 10th graders, and we don't have a year that they are supported for 10th grade. So right now we're kind of looking at numbers and seeing what we can do there, just to say here's one more piece that we can do to support our math at the high school level.
I think one thing on these that would be interesting for me for next time would be, and obviously next time we'll have a comparison from this year, but like for the 8th grade, it'd have been nice to see what the 7th graders FastBridge results were from last year. I know it's probably not an apples to apples thing, but and might not even go in the same graph if you can't make it do that, but I think it would be really nice to see, compare this 8th grade result to what the 7th graders did last year on FastBridge.
Like at fall? Like their 7th grade fall to their 8th grade fall? Or saying their
just the-
spring to
so
their
we-
fall?
So for the seventh graders last year, we should have 3 FastBridge scores.
Mm-hmm.
I think just seeing those next to the one for 8th grade,
Yep.
just
There's,
to kind of, because
it would look like this.
if I recall, the 9th graders this year, 8th graders last year were a little bit lower. And so it would be nice to see, are they moving up?
Yep. Here is kindergarten and first grade. That kindergarten piece looks pretty good. We're at 59% of them know their onset sounds, and 57% of them know their letter sounds. So we feel like our kindergartners are in a pretty good position. We are going to continue to work with them in BSP, which they just started going to, so they all have groups that they are going to based on their skill level. But also our first graders, which they were those kindergartners that we were looking at last year pretty closely. They are coming in at 31%. I think the biggest piece from that is their sentence reading was at 45 out of 137 of them were on grade level for that, which is about 33% of our kiddos are able to read sentences right now in first grade. So one of the things that we are doing is progress monitoring. We are progress monitoring letter sounds, decodable words, and then also our CBMs, which is the passages, which is curriculum-based measure. It just means that it's an on-grade level passage, like a cold read, something they haven't seen before, that they are reading, just to practice as first graders. So we have quite a few things in place. You've probably seen Calesta's layout, but one of the things that we are doing just as instructional coaches is really making sure that they are kind of checking in with them as a tier 2 within their classroom within the time of day that they have those students. Oh. These are the second graders that were first graders last year. We are looking at them specifically with word segmenting. At 39% of them are on grade level for that, but we are really looking into like their CBM, which is at a 30% on level. So we're looking at phonics and fluency at the second grade level, things that they are working on right now, reading everything. If it's a math problem, the teacher's not reading the math problem to them. We have teachers that are having the entire class chorally read their math problem so that we are hoping to get that fluency up, hopefully looking at the word segmenting as large group. In the third grade, it's kind of the same situation. They are at about 40% of them in their CBM is on grade level, so we are looking to increase that. We have a lot of teachers, greeting them at the doors with different little interventions. We have the progress monitoring that is also going on in grades 3, 4, and 5 as well. And then grade 6 and 7, we are about where we were last year, and then we hope to see increases with that, especially because we do have really well-running focus time in addition to our honors courses, in addition to our PLCs are running really well, and our kite minis at the middle school level as well. Here we have our 8th grade. This is our this year's 8th grade. They are coming in at 68%. We're not too concerned with that, obviously, but our grade 9 kiddos, they are on track at 56% when you look at what interventions the FastBridge would suggest. They are saying this is tier 1, just continue to increase the rigor at the tier 1 level. And then here's just our district. So very similar to where we were last year to start. We were at 51% of our students on grade level. We are starting at 52% on grade level. That's what I have for you.
So is the elementary school still using CKLA? I think that was the...
They are. This is year 3.
And how does that... some of these scores are pretty scary to me, especially if you've gone through letters training. You know that if they don't have good foundation skills by the end of first grade, that it's going to affect them potentially for the rest of their schooling.
Mm-hmm.
So there, to me, when I'm looking at those scores, should be some intensive interventions taking place in that first grade for sure.
Mm-hmm.
What are those, and is that, are those interventions provided through CKLA, or do you have other things that you're doing with them?
They are not provided through CKLA. We are using UFly we are using 6-minute solutions for those things, but mostly it is UFly that is at the first grade level. We have progress monitoring for, like I said, grades K through 5 right now on all of those specific areas of need within the FastBridge that were identified, and that's also based on core for the student. So once we get a bigger picture from FastBridge, we're diving deeper into core, and then we are doing our BSP walk 2 for that as well, in addition to title. One of the other pieces that I have just started to investigate is looking at a title program that is more focused at the foundational level, going with title just at that K1, K1-2 area, so that they can focus all of their resources at those students who need those foundational levels, and continuing to support the rest of those students in that walkthrough intervention. But I do 100% with you agree that we need to focus our energies at that K1-2 and address this at a foundation area before it does.
So phonics program, CKLA, does that have a phonics within it, or is that?
Phonics is part of CKLA. It's just not probably as strong as some of our teachers would want it to be. So some of them are supplementing as well. Not substituting, supplementing.
What are they supplementing with?
UFly.
Okay.
So I think we've got to get back together on, so over the summer it was that K1 cohort. Obviously we're seeing that 1-2 cohort, same cohort is not looking good. I think we've got to get back together, get a couple folks from the board and you and Tanya and Callista, because I mean we're running out of time to fix that. So I think we've got to get back together. We'll figure out a board committee and sit in on it, because those numbers are pretty scary to me.
Are there any additional, talking about the first and second grade, parent augmentation stuff that's happening with additional
So
reading time at home, homework, checking in with the teacher, stuff like that?
So kindergarten has parent volunteers coming in now, as well as a bag book is what it's called, and that's at K and 1. So like my little guy comes home with a book, we read that story, we send it back, a different book comes home after he has mastered that book. So that's how it went in kindergarten, and that's going that way in first grade as well, in addition to like the parent volunteers, just so that students are reading to another human as opposed to themselves or a program.
How is it communicated to parents where their children are at, where their level is at? How is that only at conferences, or is there a continual update showing any progress? How is that communicated?
So students in title would probably be the only ones that are getting that regular feedback on where their students are at. Otherwise, yes, things were sent home with parent-teacher conferences, or slightly before at the elementary school, I believe, for FastBridge.
69%. How can you don't even have title teachers to cover, do you, all those kids?
For what is 69%?
First grade, right? Am I reading that right? It's 69% or below, or at risk, or severely at risk.
For a reading?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So do you have enough teachers to even cover 69% of the kids?
So that means that is a tier 1 problem. That means that is, we are needing to bolster our tier 1, and that we need to be looking at what is going on in the classrooms at tier 1. I do not believe yet that the walkthrough tool for the reading rope has yet been used, but it has been made. It is just a question of when that will be pulled out, and then feedback hopefully shared with teachers on that.
Because you mentioned the books going home at kindergarten. Is that also happening at first grade as well?
That is, yes.
And then who's documenting, like, is it being done at home? And like, is there any data that tracks, like, are parents really doing it at home, and do they really understand where their child's at based on the reading? Or is that just kind of a send home and you hope they do it?
No. And in fact, I also have a third grader, and we are all getting Apply, and so those are both for our math and for our ELA. We are getting books sent home by the teacher in an effort to make it so that all teachers are communicating with home about what's going on in the classroom. Pages should be sent home with what pages students are supposed to be doing in those, but then they are not turned in for feedback at this time.
Because that also, I think, goes, second grades almost equally as,
And something to focus on for sure.
in third.
I'm just curious too, like what are you hearing from teachers about these scores? Like, are there like noticeable like behavioral things going on in some of these classes, or just are the tools not working, or what are you hearing?
I'm not hearing much as to why they aren't seeing growth. I'm hearing a lot of things about why we should be seeing growth this year. Our progress monitoring, our walk to intervention, our bag book, our parent volunteers. We have a lot of things set up. So I hope that is why the conversation is so geared toward the positives of things and not just this, like, oh, these kids. It's not like that at all. It's been, well, hopefully this will take care of this, and when we're doing this, and
So you talked about the Title I targeting the lowest in first and second grade, or
like
kindergarten first?
K1, 2.
Okay,
Mhm.
so when they're in Title, how many kids are in a group?
It's supposed to be small, right? 6 minutes, or 6 students for about 15 minutes should be
Okay.
what it is.
6 students?
Mhm.
That's a lot of students when they're low.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Yep. We need humans, and we don't have humans, and that seems to be kind of the message for our walk to intervention that we've continued to try. Like, we're in rooms with 18, 20 kids on a skill, and we just don't have humans to make it a small group.
So how do you get there?
So one of the things that we are doing is just this week we have a meeting with the high school and some of the counselors there so that we can hopefully start to recruit students. Getting students with great attendance, students who maybe have a feel for little people or maybe even want to do a teaching pathway. We're trying to get those kiddos on board, dedicating 1 hour of their day to coming over to the elementary school and helping us out with that walk to intervention. Because that seems to be a guaranteed pool of people, whereas when we try to do parent or volunteers just from the community, it's a little bit more difficult to get them there 5 days a week, 4 days a week. It's a big commitment, but if we can hopefully pull in some of these upperclassmen who might have that interest in that, helping starting something there. We talked with the people over at Baser. They have something like 200 care cats every year. That's their senior and junior program that goes to their elementary schools. So if we could get something like that going where people really just want to be a part of it because they had a care cat, and that's really what we hear from the people at the high school. The reason why they wanted to do it at Baser was because they had one when they were a little guy. Mm-hmm. So now they want to have one. So we're just now starting to build that program. We tried to get it going last year. We ended up with one person who was available, so we're going at it a different way this year.
You think you can get that started second semester, or?
I don't know about second semester, but I would love it if we could. I don't know. I'm going to go in and talk with them, see what we can do.
Linda asked about the cap, getting it broken out by grade level.
Mhm.
Is that possible when Justin asked about the scores to show the historical data for each one of those? Could that also be sent to?
For FastBridge, we can do 1 year back, yes. For a cap, we can do longitudinally a little bit longer as well.
Let's be sure we say, if we can only go 1 year back with FastBridge, let's make sure we get a kind of a data repository so that we're not limited by what FastBridge lets us do there. So I think that obviously there were pockets where there were pretty good increases, pockets where there weren't. Are we winning?
I'm sorry?
Are we winning?
Are we winning? I don't think we're losing. I think we're gaining ground. I think we're moving the dial. And I think we're turning a really big ship. And it takes a lot of individual teachers to get on board to see that what they're doing is going to pay out, because it is hard work. It's really hard work for them. And it's something that you have to really be focused on every day. I was talking to some people today, you know, what do I be focused on? Do I be focused on ELA? Do I be focused on the standard? Do I be focused on CKLA? Am I focused on engagement? Do I be you have to be focused on all of it. That's kind of being a good teacher. Is trying to do it all in the best way you can in the limited amount of time we got these kids for. We get them from August until May, a certain number of minutes or hours a day, and it takes a lot.
That just made me think of something. So when you're talking about minutes, Dave, so for some of these grade levels, have they reduced the amount, like some of them the math is much higher than the reading? Are you shifting minutes to accommodate for some of that? No?
Not at all.
Okay.
We're giving exactly the number of minutes that is required based on the projection from the resource. So like, for instance, there's 120 minutes required in first grade for CKLA. There's 90 minutes required for CKLA at fourth grade. So we're sticking to those parameters for those minutes. We haven't yet cut anything from ELA or math. I believe we've cut from social studies, if we've cut from anything.
Doesn't it kind of incorporate CKLA? I think it incorporates social studies. into
CKLA does, yeah.
Okay. I think we definitely need to get back together on the first and second graders so we can figure out a group to do that. I took some notes in terms of other data that the board would like to have. Any other comments, questions? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Randy.
Mr. Loomis.
All right, so I'm just going to try to kind of bring everything up to speed on where we are, all things TES, HVAC upgrades. We've got other things going on in the district and some things that are hanging out, but obviously our focus really is right here, right now, especially in the last month. So the big takeaway tonight is we have really pushed the envelope on timing for this project. And through some of the partners we've engaged in this, they've really kind of just stepped up to the plate, for lack of a better term from me, to help us out, because we were kind of working in a unique time frame here. So over the last 3 weeks, we took an RFQ submittal from about 7 firms that were interested in our project. Through a rubric of scoring, we narrowed that down to 3 firms, and that rubric was just some actual scoring from Aaron at Esky and Tucker at Lighthouse, as well as a committee of people that looked through some of the qualifications and narrowed that down to 3 firms. And then those 3 firms really got after it, and I want to express the district's appreciation for their efforts to speed up this process. And we interviewed firms last Thursday for our CMAR, construction manager at risk. And again, through the interview process, through the submittal of their fees to the state and ranking that, with input from our committee members in the interview process, as well as a scoring rubric provided by Tucker at Lighthouse, we've made our selection of our CMAR, and that's kind of where we're at tonight. So I'll get to that in just a second, but tonight you do have an approval to enter contract negotiations with Universal Construction, who through that process that I kind of just blew through was our selection. All 3 firms were outstanding, but Universal really stood out and scored very high in every aspect, as far as state fees, as far as the rubric, and then as far as their interview process and our committee selection of that. They actually finished 1 in all 3 phases, so kind of a slam dunk there. So where we're at tonight from you guys and from the district is just looking to approve that contract negotiation. I'll get into a little more detail what that looks like. We did get approval in your last special board meeting to move forward with our AIA agreement with HTK. So I think they were working all along, but that's actually been made official now. We've signed that and sent it over. So they're working through the schematic design and development. They have a site visit scheduled for tomorrow since we are out of school, and they're going to get up in the ceiling and do some measuring. And so in the next month, I think you're going to see a lot of traction, or at least I'm going to see a lot of traction as to what's happening. And then they'll be back on fall break when we break for the holiday of Thanksgiving. They'll be back on fall break to get inside and do a little more digging and a little more research. So our next update will actually probably come with a little more actual information as far as what the project looks like, what we think the project might look like. We are really working in a kind of in an unknown, I guess, right now. And then, as I mentioned, assuming approval of Universal tonight, they'll begin assisting in the design development. I think they already have started preparing their trade partners to tackle this project as soon as we can. And so that takes a lot of legwork there. And then obviously Aaron and Tucker will assist us in the contract negotiations. And then some of these bid packages we start sending out. So that's kind of where everybody's at in the project. One thing I do want to touch on tonight just quickly, this is all technologically related. Forrest and I were joking the other day. I'm not techie, so I'm not going to pretend to try to explain what this is to you. But if you remember on the middle school, we upgraded our control system, right? So what I actually do on a computer. And that's what I'm just kind of showing you here. So when you see this, the cost at the bottom's $8,000. Trane is given a $2,000 discount if you do it now. And basically what it is when we upgraded the middle school, that now the elementary school control system became our oldest system. Cybersecurity is about all I heard from them, and the new system that they require, they can't protect your cybersecurity with their old system, is what they have told us. So this is just a technology upgrade that you're going to see move through to get our control system at the elementary upgraded. If you really want to read that, you certainly can, about OpenVPN remote access. Forrest probably knows exactly what I'm talking about. I certainly don't. But the upgrade will be compatible, just like we talked about at the middle school. Whatever units we decide to put up there, we'll continue to utilize Trane's control systems. This upgrade will be compatible. This is just a very minuscule cost in the project that I just wanted to get out in front of you guys. I don't think it's anything that is not expected. It's just a technology upgrade, basically, that we'll have to make at the elementary school. But just rest assured that it will be compatible with whatever action happens after this, but you'll see this come through here before too long. So I don't think there's no questions. That makes sense.
Does it make it, I mean, it's not that much money, but does it make any sense to just bid that as part of the bid packages? I mean, it's software, it's 100% margin for Trane. If we made them bid it in the bid package, would they throw it in? Or?
We can't. Selfishly, I'm going to tell you I don't want to do that because the Trane control system that we use is what I know, and so we use Trane controls on everything. So to bid it out as a package, we could end up with a different control system. And I'm not saying that we couldn't learn it, but then we'd have 3 buildings sitting in this pocket, and then I'd have another building here.
Can we make them bid that control system?
It's theirs. It's proprietary. If that makes sense, I guess. Mm-hmm. Like we could change to Johnson Controls or something like that, but you're going to end up with I'm going to end up routing in from a secondary
I get it.
thing. So your action item tonight, we don't want to overcomplicate this, but the biggest, I think, concern I've heard from the board is obviously we don't understand the scope of this project at 100% yet. We've operated in this world of this is a $6 to $8 million project. Through everything we've done to this point, nobody has looked at us and said, you're crazy, that's going to be too low, too high. I think there's a general understanding of it. But your action item tonight is to ultimately enter into contract negotiations with Universal Construction to be our CMAR on this project. Part of their RFP was submitting fees to the state, and so their pre-construction cost is $12,400. If you're looking for a dollar amount to put on what you're doing this evening, that's kind of it. We are on the hook for that with approval of this tonight. They also provide a base fee, and so what that is basically their profit margin on the project. And so it's at 2.25%. Quick math will get you on an $8 million project, that's $180,000, but that number can obviously move and be manipulated based on the total cost of the project. Very similar to kind of what we talked about with what we will initially owe HTK at the end of this project. Their fee is a percentage of the total cost of the project. And so I know there's obviously a concern that we don't know what the total cost of the project is. I think in the next 2 months we will really start to answer those questions. But if we get into this and we start diving and all of a sudden this turns into a 12, 13, $14 million project and we kind of got to throw our hands up and come up with a plan B. Again, your pre-construction cost is kind of where we're at. HTK's costs are based on a certain percentage of the project they've completed. So, we're going to be about 25% into that here before too long. And then come December, I think we will start having some very soft numbers for what this might look like. But again, we're kind of utilizing these fees that they provided to the state in the RFP process. Example being their management cost on the project. So for 3 phases of management cost, you're looking at almost $367,000. If we back that off to 2 phases, which is likely, I think, the direction we're going to move, that number moves down. But again, these are not firm numbers, with the exception of that $12,400. Everything else is fairly fluid at this point. But I just kind of want to try to explain that to you guys tonight so you can feel comfortable with what you're approving to move forward with the contract negotiations. Other associated costs are obviously contingent on the scope of work, whether we do the project in 1 summer, 3 summers, whether we do it in 2 congruent summers or we break it out over 5 years. Again, all that is going to come back to what is the total cost of the project, what are we able to afford right now, and how do we want to afford that. So we are shooting for that GMP number in February, and that is your actual, that'll be the time you guys get a real number for what this all is. And again, our hope is that I hope it's lower, but if we're operating in this world that we think this is a $6 to $8 million project, our hope is that that's where it'll be, and we can start planning, how we're gonna purchase this. There will be some procurement things as far as like actual units on the roof that we may have to speed up the process a little bit, right? So like when we did the bond, there's a whole number, and then we approve that whole number, and then we kind of work backwards from here. In this one, we may have to approve chunks of this in December and January, just so we can allow ourselves the opportunity to order like the actual units that are sitting on the roof. And so again, I think I'm just going to keep coming to you with more information. I don't know if I can answer a ton of questions right now, other than kind of what we're looking at, but there will be chunks of this that we'll try to bite off to keep moving, to keep it hopefully, for lack, break ground on it, come May 19th or whatever that date is, at least on a certain section of the building. So questions on this, the proposal from Universal, and Archie from Universal is here with us tonight too, so certainly appreciate you being here, but could maybe answer anything crazy if I can, I guess.
I don't have any questions. I'd make a couple of quick comments.
Yeah.
So, Mitch is probably tired of taking my phone calls because this is a
Rather take them during the day than up here.
somewhat of an odd situation that we are, normally when we're approving something up here, we're approving, $173,423.19, and we're not doing that for this. I think that certainly to do any work in the summer of 26, I think this is the way you have to do it. I feel reasonably comfortable that our exposure is manageable if it came back and we can't go do it for whatever reason, the dollars are too big. And frankly, I think it's work that we're gonna have to do at some point anyway. So Karen, Chris, and I sat through the interviews. I think we can effectively say a 1-year option isn't really an option. Too much risk, certainly too much risk without some concern of moving school start date back, which I think nobody thought was a good idea. HTK was the original architect, engineer, whatever. Universal was the original builder. I think we are in as good a shape as we can be for what I think is our priority number one capital project at this time. So I wish that it was possible for Mitch to stand up there and say it's $7,423,000, but I think that's not a possibility, and I feel like we're in as good a position as we can be in, given that that's not a possibility. So take that for what it's worth.
I don't think we can get to that number without these steps, I guess is another way to put it. Talking to Justin, when we pass a bond, we have a set number of dollars we approved for the community, and we know that going in, and then it's, hey, what can we do with that dollar amount to meet our needs? This is going to be a little bit different, but there's really no way to get to that number, to that GMP number, without just continuing to rely on our partners in this project, which I think we've got some great ones. So,
Archie, did we say anything up here that wasn't true?
No, well said.
Okay.
all right.
Archie is the CEO of Universal
Yes.
Construction, and he's going to be involved in all the pre-construction stuff. So,
Very good.
any questions for Mitch? All right.
Love it. All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you guys.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. No picture comments. Mr. Feldkamp.
Okay, before I forget, I did send this out 2 weeks ago, at least. This is that interlocal cooperation agreement between the city of Tonganoxie, the Rec Commission, and we are an associate of this situation. If you don't, you probably know better. Are you still on the board with Rec?
No.
Okay, so they are redoing the Chieftain Park playground. And so that is a cooperation between the city of Tonganoxie and the Tonganoxie Rec Commission. We are only involved because the mill levy money runs through our budget, and then we appropriate those money accordingly. And they, I guess the Attorney General would like our blessing. It's no financial situation for us. It's just that Brad Eccles contacted me today and he wants me to sign off on this agreement. There's no action. It's just, I talked to Justin, he's gone through it. So I'll be meeting with Brad to sign off so they can send it back to the Kansas Attorney General for approval. So that's what it is. I just want to know if there are any questions about that. I think it's a great project they're doing, but we're not financially obligated to any of that. It's just it's kind of like our knowledge or acknowledgement that this project is going through. Okay.
Questions, comments on that?
Okay, appreciate it. Just want to touch base on a couple things. It's actually been, today was a pretty heavy day, but I just want to make a quick comment about how proud I am of the students and staff of THS and even other buildings. But our Veterans Day program was just remarkable today, and a lot of that is due to the students. The music was just outstanding. Again, we actually, our two student MCs, one of them was your daughter. She was really disappointed you weren't there. So, anyway. But anyway, gosh, we just had a really nice setup. The largest crowd of veterans we've ever had showed up. So I think that word of mouth, that it's a good program. We had two elementary students provide, one wrote a poem and the other one wrote kind of a heartfelt message that was incredible. They both fourth or fifth graders, fifth grade maybe. Anyway, it was really good. I mean, it was good. And we also did besides the 5 quilts we handed out, we did a little, I would call it a tribute to Larry Meadows. And a lot of you know Larry and Lois Meadows and their family, and it was really very nice. And so it was a good day. And so that was the highlight of my day, easily. So that was good. I want to give a shout out to the FFA teachers and students. The students returned safely, which is always good, from Indianapolis. I think we sent about a dozen, there, and that's a tremendous. I've never been to FFA Nationals, but I know seeing some of the pictures and videos, it's quite an event. But we sent our students there. I think our FFA Ag program is really on a rebound. I mean that wholeheartedly. We're seeing more things come out of that VOAG area than we haven't seen in 2 years, easily, in all areas. It could be welding, it could be using, the animal science, plant sciences. It's all been, we got a good team back there. And I will say also, I think the addition of introductory classes at the 8th grade level have been very positive for the middle school. I mean, just the feedback I'm getting is really good. So those are all, we added 3, and so I think that the dividends are paying off. So just wanted you to know that. It's hard to believe the fall break's coming up here quickly. We are pedaling fast towards the fall break. Then we have about three more weeks of school before Christmas break, and here we are at the end of the second 9 weeks, which is incredible to me. And also, of course, next week we have the start of winter practices, which is, again, hard to believe. All of our fall schedules are completed now with our loss Friday night to Bishop Miege. We had a good year, overall. We had really, good teams, good competition, and a lot of good things going on. But now we're rolling into, of course, wrestling, basketball, and all the other activities that take place. So we'll be hitting the road hard and running on Monday. It's a long season. It's one of the longest. It feels that way anyway. So, any questions for me? There's a lot going on. Oh my gosh. Thank you.
Tanya?
All right. Got just a few things for you tonight. I thought I would touch base on the superintendent search. We had the focus groups last Thursday, and those went really well. I was very proud of our staff members for participating in those groups and our students, and it just went very well. We still are working toward our Skyward migration to cumulative. As part of that, we have a monthly newsletter called Q-Tips for cumulative Q-Tips. I thought that was kind of cool. So I have that newsletter that I've also included in your packet there. That was the November edition was the first edition of the Q-Tips newsletter. We'll have one each month as we prepare and move forward to our migration. And we'll be going live in July, the end of July 2026. We have also put out some staff and parent climate surveys. So you'll be seeing the results of that in December. The last day for folks to fill that out is the Friday before Thanksgiving break. So that is the 21st that those are due. And so I'll bring that information to you in December. We're also beginning our calendar committee meetings this week. We'll start, did I put Tuesday? No, it's Wednesday. We are meeting Wednesday, November 12th, and that'll be our first meeting. We'll follow up then with a meeting in December, and then go forward from there. Usually by that December meeting, we shape some options, and then we send those options out to staff to vote on. So we'll get some input also from the board members. Linda is serving on our committee, so we're excited about that. And then just to touch base on the recruitment fairs that we've attended this fall, we had the recruitment fair there at the high school, and then we've attended 3 university career fairs, the University of Kansas, Kansas State University, and last week Emporia State University. And we've actually made connections with a lot of great students. The comparison from last year this year is noticeable. There are some really high quality teacher candidates out there, and I'm really excited. There's a lot more, in fact, more students that we saw. So we have all their contact information, we have resumes, and we're ready to get going as soon as hiring season starts out. Some of those folks have actually booked tours with us. We've invited them to come and tour our facilities and meet our staff. So we're excited to welcome them into our buildings and get ready to hire folks when our hiring season opens up.
Couple of quick comments. So I was in touch with Dr. Hubbard today. She said that she's going to send out the characteristics report tomorrow, so we should have that tomorrow. I sent a message earlier reminding you guys that our homework was to come up with some interview questions. So I've seen some of those. I haven't seen all of them. Send those when you get a minute. You can send them directly to Dr. Hubbard. And we're probably in a little bit of a lull as folks apply for the job. So I don't know that there's any super immediate actions related to that. The only other comment I had, Tanya, relative to the calendar. I know when you and Brandy and I met the other day, there was some conversation about early release, and if we were going to continue doing that, I think we probably need either strong opinion that we do it or don't do it, but probably it's going to tie in heavily into the calendar, so we're going to have to land that pretty quick.
Yep.
Comments or questions for Tanya? All right, moving into action items. That's where we are. All right, 2 action items tonight. I would move that we approve action item 5.1, approval of additional warrant list items. Is there a second?
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. And then action item 5.2 is the approval to enter into contract negotiations and hire Universal Construction as our CMAR for the TES HVAC project. There's a lot of acronyms in one sentence there. We talked about it. Certainly the right folks are here. I shared my perspective, so I won't reshare it, but any comments, questions, concerns there? Okay. I would move that we approve action item 5.2 to enter into an agreement with Universal Construction. Is there a second?
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. I know of no reason to have executive session. Any board announcements or discussion? Meeting is adjourned.